Hi, everyone. Hello. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody for taking just this next 30 minutes out of your day. Really means a lot, and I hope to bring a lot of value to the table for you today. For those of you who don't know, this is a one of two-part series. So we're going to be covering half of our information today, and in about 5 to 6 weeks, we're going to cover the other half. So we're going to dive into the beginning today, and I really hope that you gain a lot of insight and maybe just change your perspective a little bit on some of the things maybe you're doing or some of the goals that you have for the future. So welcome to my front porch, and let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about taking your steps to a digital future for your lab and just your path to success in doing that. And so we're going to get started here. A little bit about who I am. I am a dental lab dreamer. And what I mean by that is I was not in the dental lab industry, but I did have a dream of being at home and being more present with my family. And so the dream of a dental lab started about 3 years ago. We started with 0 clients, and we now have a successful lab with digital equipment, and we speak all over the country, and we get to talk to different laboratories, different doctors, and share insight. And it really has just been an eye-opening experience because I had dental background for 15 years. I worked in general dental offices. So I thought the transition would be seamless, but little did I know there is a whole nother language once you transfer over to the lab side. So it's been a big learning curve, but it's been one that I very, very, very much have enjoyed. And so other than that, I'm an optimist at heart always. So if you ever have a dream that you're thinking about doing or a goal that you're wanting to set and you just need somebody to pump you up and tell you that you can do it, I'll do my very best. So I'm that. I'm also a mother of 2 beautiful babies and wife to Aaron. So he's my high school sweetheart. So that's a little bit about me. Throughout the presentation today, you're going to find lots of pictures. Every picture that I'm posting, except 2 videos that you'll see throughout, are pictures that I've used on social media and I have used to build my business, just like the one that you see now. You know, that exact picture with that exact writing, that's what I shared. And so I really want to be as real as I can with you guys today and just let you know that you've just got to be yourself. So today you're going to see me and my true self and my element, which is on my front porch. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I want to encourage you to think and to grade yourself of how successful you are. 10 being super, super successful. That is your peak level and you feel like you're playing at 100%. So I want you to take just a second and grade yourself there, 1 to 10, 10 being the most successful you can possibly be. Everybody's answers are going to be different here, and that's the beauty of it, because in reality, when you look up stats and things like that, only 8% of the population is considered successful. And that doesn't seem like a lot. In fact, that's a really low number. But what I want to bring to you today is the fact that your success is not dependent on anybody else. Your success is not based on stats. It's not based on any numbers or any comparisons, because you're in charge of deciding whether or not you're successful. That is one thing that I feel like we struggle with so bad in our industry, in our culture, in our world, is this constant age of comparison. And do I compare? Do I level up to this one? Or do I level up to that one? Or is my lab good enough? Or am I good enough? Whether it's in our personal life or business. So I want you to see this stat, and then I just want you to erase it from your mind, right? Because I don't care if it tells us only 8% of the people are considered successful. That's considered by the world's definition of successful. We're not going to live there today. We're not going to stay in that realm today. So what is success? Simply put, it's not a simple answer. Success is a lot of things. And we all have a different definition of success. Everybody we're in a different chapter of our lives, and we're in different, scenarios. So for this presentation and for the rest of our next presentation that follows this one in part 2, This is what we're going to use to define success. So if you're successful, it means that you're bringing passion into your life daily through work, love, and play. You're achieving your goals and you're looking forward to waking up each day. To me, that's success. Yes, there's numbers that go along with that. There's monetary value that go along with that. There's a lot of things that factor in. But in our lab industry, especially, no two labs are alike. You know, we have high volume labs and we have high quality labs that are really, really small, and we only do the top of the levels and those kind of things. We need everybody, right? So it takes all of us to do what we're doing because every doctor wants something different. On the pictures that you see here, that first printer there to the left is an Amazon printer that I bought offline, which was my very first 3D printer, and it cost me $250 total. Let me tell you, for me, that was success because I had never had a printer before. So for me, that was success. I was finally able to print models in-house, and I could finally do contact checks when I wanted to, and I could finally double check the draw on that bridge all by myself. I had been outsourcing my models for so long. So for me, when I was able to bring in my $250 Amazon printer, which was my starter printer, it's not where I am now, but that was success for me. That may not be success for oral arts, or, you know, some of our bigger labs. Gladwell may not be, you know, jumping up and down when they buy their Amazon printer for $250, but I was. Just like some people, their level of success is a carbon, right? There's a slightly different price tag to a carbon than my Amazon printer. But nonetheless, every lab has a different level of where they need to play. So I think for us to be successful and for us to talk about our lab, we have to understand that we're all in a different playing field and we're all at different levels, and you just have to define your own success. So for me, my success was this. My success was coming home to happy children and a happy husband and feeling proud of what I had done every day. Knowing that I could still come home and cook them supper, and I wasn't getting home at 8:30 because I was having to commute, or 7:30 because I was having to commute to work. I put in long hours. I sometimes go back out to work after my kids have gone to bed. But for me, success was being present in my family's life and having the choice and the freedom to do so. And being able to hire other people that in my area were also having to commute. Yes, I have monetary goals and success goals that are surrounded by numbers, but I don't have any of those, and I can't determine what those are until I define what my first initial building block is. And mine personally is being present with my family. So I set my goals in my lab based on how do I do that and still be present? How do I not outgrow myself and get myself to a point that I'm too busy and I don't have enough help? And that's what we're going to dive into over these next few slides. So once you define your success, so if you decide that your success needs to be that, you know, you want to be home, but I want to grow by 30% this year. Okay, well, we need to work backwards. Okay, so if you want to grow by 30%, we need to know how many crowns is that. We need to know if you have a product selection range that incorporates everything that you do. You know, are you only doing crowns and bridges for your doctors? Do they know that you do night guards? Do they know that you've brought in a removables department? Can you expand your products to them first? So once you set those monetary goals, you want to work backwards. But no matter what your goal is, one of your main goals should be to surround yourself with amazing people. After this past year that we've all experienced, this should not be a shocker to anyone. I was a small business owner as a one-person lab, and that's great. I liked that. But I also look at my future, and I looked at the stability of my lab and the stability of the doctors that I had and the stability for my family. What happens if I get COVID? What happens if I get sick? What happens if I have an accident? The lab doesn't just keep going. Not if it's just me. Not if I've just grown a department of people, but I haven't hired enough people to man that department. So when we talk about adding people, we definitely want to do it the right way. So how do you hire the right tribe? Because you can't afford not to have one. The right tribe may mean one more person. It may mean 20 more people to head a new department that you want to incorporate. Because again, everybody's level of success is different. Everybody's definition of success is different. But we're talking about digital, right? So when we talk about trying to grow our lab digitally, there's a lot to think about there. Okay, so for instance, every little thing that we deal with, every social media aspect has a different group of people on there. There's different dynamics in them. I am a Facebook kid because I, was born in the 80s. So Facebook was still cool whenever that was the only thing we had. We had MySpace, but then we graduated to Facebook. I've just recently gotten into Instagram. I still don't understand Snapchat or Twitter or TikTok, okay? But I do get in the spaces that make sense to me. And so when you're talking about hiring the right tribe, you've got to understand that if you're wanting to go digital, you need a tribe that's going to understand this with you. Not everybody has to understand social media. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're starting to get your lab digitally driven, that needs to be a common theme within your lab all the time. You need to be talking about it all the time. What pictures are going to work? What angle should we shoot this picture at? What do you think is going to get the most interaction? Right? So you need people on your tribe if you really want to go digital that are going to help you understand that. Right? So when we talk about being a business of one, right? This is not a hard slide to understand. A business of one and you subtract one, you're left with a broken lab. Right? So be sure that you're hiring that and understand that. So many people worry about the money of how am I going to pay for those people? But you look at this video here, which obviously I've not used on social media. But when you look at this video here, this guy's trying to row across. If he stops rowing, the boat will stop. It's not going to keep going. If he gets sick, if somebody in his family gets sick, right, the boat doesn't stop. If he wants to stop long enough to go and take a break to go post on Instagram, the teeth aren't still doing the job. The teeth aren't still being milled. The night guard isn't printing sometimes. You've only got one person. And again, if last year taught us anything, it should be how important this is. The money will come. The income to pay that person will come because you're going to allow yourself to free yourself from the bench. And this is how you should hire. You should hire your weaknesses. I'm going to say that again because so many people struggle with this one. You want to hire people that are like you. We want to hire people that have the same thought processes and we think the same and, oh, we get along so great. And that's wonderful. There are times for that. But when you're smaller or sometimes when you're trying to branch out and create a new product or you're wanting to launch a new department, you want to hire your weaknesses. So what I mean by that is like I am an innovator, a jump start, a quick start. I'm all about the big picture. So when I went to hire, I wanted to hire my weaknesses. I wanted to hire someone who had follow through, who paid attention to the small details, who really, really, really wanted checklists. Okay, well, guess what? I found her and she's amazing. And she's completely changed my life because I hired my weaknesses. Yes, we're a lot alike in a lot of other ways. We have similar morals and we get along on a lot of stances like that. And, we have similar personalities, but again, we're very, very opposite. I have 27 tabs open on my computer at all times, and she has one at max 3. I mean, we're tapped out at 3. But because she's so strong in all the areas I'm weak, we can bounce off each other and use each other. And it helps us to grow tremendously. I can teach her my strengths, right? But sometimes it's hard to teach teach somebody strengths that are your weaknesses. I can't teach somebody the thing I'm weak in oftentimes. But if I make the right hires and I have people that are super strong in the things I'm weak, I'm strong in my strengths, so I can teach you all day how to do those things with confidence, even. Like, let's do it. I know you can learn it because I know I can teach it. So this slide here is probably one of the most important things that we're going to talk about as far as building your digital business, because if you don't do this step here, you're not going to have the time and the freedom to build your business and to grow it digitally, because it takes time. So when we look at this video here, the middle guy can take a break. The boat's still going to move. Rower number 3 can go on vacation. The boat's still going to move. Rower number 2 can get COVID. The boat's still going to move. It's always in motion. And I think sometimes we think, oh, I can't afford to hire that person. But you don't realize how much more work you can get done by having just one extra person. And how much it's going to free you up to work on your business. And you'll hear me say that several times throughout the rest of these slides, is you've got to be working on your business, not just in it. And that's one thing that I found when I came into the lab industry. That was a little shocking to me. I understand it, but that is not something that's very common. Instead, the owners are often still the ones at the bench. And it's a pride thing. It's my name on the door, and this is all I've ever known. And and I understand that, and those are fantastic qualities to have. But you also have to create that time to work on your business. And you can't always do that if you're just the one at the bench. So when we talk about going digital, we want to make sure we're in the right places. We want to make sure that our advertisements are saying what we want them to say. For me, I place an ad like this, and it's pretty clear cut, right? I don't want to place this ad on Craigslist, right? I don't want to place this ad in places that I don't feel like people that are very computer savvy are going to find, because in this situation, I'm hiring for a CAD CAM designer. I want somebody that understands computers, thus the point that we see a computer screen with digital teeth on there. We see a computer keypad and a cell phone on the other. They're two very different looking ads, but when I place those ads out there, they're going to go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They're going to go on the places that have people on them that are very comfortable in the space I want to hire them for. Some things are hard to teach. They're not impossible to teach, but some things are hard to teach. And some people that have grown up in this industry of computers and understanding that knowledge just get it faster. If you've got time to teach someone, invest in somebody. That is fantastic. The girl I hired was not computer savvy, okay? And she'll be the first to tell you that. But she is amazing. Amazing. It's took us time, but she's someone who's willing to learn. So when you're hiring for people, look for people that have an attitude that is willing to learn and take on new stuff, and they're excited about growth. And sometimes it just takes somebody that's wanting a change. They're excited about change. Dentistry is ever changing. I shouldn't have to tell anybody that. If not, just wait till you get your next implant, because it'll be from a new company with a new part number that you never heard of. It's always changing, okay? So when you go to place your ads, I just want to encourage you to make them very clear cut. Millennials, even my age, we're visual people, right? We don't need a lot of words. You can see that this does not have all the things that I require from them. I just need to get their attention. I want them to know we're hiring, they can apply at my website, and this is what we want with a picture, right? That's what does it for us. Once you get there, you have all the details listed, because like I said, you're gonna have some that need all the details. They're not just big picture, but you have to get their attention first. And we live in a culture that's fast. Everything's like this. We scroll Instagram, we scroll Facebook. You see a post for just a half a second, and it has to be something that grabs your attention. So be sure that what you're doing, your graphics are good and they make sense and they're attractive. If you're not sure if they are, ask people. Get people's opinions. Ask people that you work with, hey, what do you think about this ad? And don't always ask the people that are exactly like you or that are always going to tell you your work is great. Ask the people that will be honest with you. That's where you're going to get the most feedback. So now I want to talk about freeing yourself from the bench. So once you've hired, you've defined your level of success and you've defined your definition of that, we're deciding that we're going to go out and we're going to get these great people, but now we've got to learn how to retain those great people, and we've got to learn how to get you out from behind the bench, because you can hire those people all day long, but if you're not willing to teach them, then you didn't do anything but just add more hands to the same pot, right? We want to get you out from behind the bench so that you can work on the business, you can grow your clients, you can get in better touch with what your clients want so that you can keep those hands busier. You have to carve out time. If you're not already doing this, you would be amazed at what 30 minutes will do for you. 30. That is half an hour. That's what you spend on your lunch break. Some people, that's half of what you spend on your lunch break. 30 minutes a day. Maybe that means you go into work 30 minutes earlier in the beginning. Maybe it means that you carve out a time at 10:30 in the morning every morning that you stop and do that. Maybe you carve it out in the afternoon. Regardless of where you set it aside, I recommend the morning because that's your most productive time of the day and there's less opportunity to be distracted and to not get to it. But wherever it works into your day, make sure you do it every day. During that 30 minutes, post a post on social media. Do it on Instagram, share it to your Facebook page. If you get into TikTok and Twitter and Snapchat and all these others that I don't even know about or really understand, post them there. There's cross posting, so it's not as confusing and as intimidating as it sounds in the beginning. Once you have everything set up, they're all linked together. Once you post to one, it posts to everywhere. LinkedIn, that's another great site. When you talk about wanting to hire people, one of the best ways that you can look attractive is to be known. You don't have to post what everybody else is posting. That's why we're sitting on my front porch, right? Because this is who I am. I mean, this is me. 100%. I want you to know who I am, and I want to be authentic, because when I'm trying to be somebody else, it's hard. I'm going against the grain trying to measure up to other people. Half the time people can tell that that's not me and it's not my authentic self anyway. So why do I waste my time doing that? So when you're carving out this 30 minutes a day, you want to make sure that you are being relevant and you're being authentic to who you are. If you'll do that, you'll start gaining followers. When it's time to grow again, you will have a following and a base that makes you look like an attractive lab to come and join. One that's growing, one that's digitally driven, one that has high technology, one that encourages growth within your company. Highlight the growth that goes on in your company. Highlight when somebody that started off in the model room becomes a manager of a process. Highlight that because it shows that you are encouraging growth and it makes you attractive to people. So when you go to look and hire for people, it will become easier and easier and easier every time as you grow that place in the digital market, because otherwise you're a lab, an unknown lab trying to hire that I don't know anything about. That leaves a lot of open questions. So I encourage you, this 30 minutes a day will pay off dividends in the end. I promise, 30 minutes. Once you get your people on board, this is major. You have got to be willing to teach, train, and trust. And yes, just like the slide says, quality control and micromanaging are not the same things. Micromanagement is one of the quickest ways to drain an employee's happiness at work, to drain their confidence level, to stifle their excitement about what they do. So we want to avoid that at all costs. Yes, quality control has to be there. That's not an option. You don't just train somebody and say, okay, let it rip. It doesn't work like that. You do have to be in control of of somebody checking off that everything going out that door is as good as you would have done it. But micromanaging is not the way. It's teaching them, it's training them, it's coaching them, and then it's trusting them to do the process. And correct as needed, but help them and trust them and let them fly. They might have a fantastic idea, but they're too afraid to bring it to you because they think you'll just shoot it down. Don't stifle these amazing people that you're bringing on board with you. Encourage them to grow and always have that open door policy. That's the generation that we live in. That is where you create good cultures for your teammates, is one that they feel like they are part of a team, that their input matters. That's how you develop loyalty and long term, not out of fear, out of respect. So you want to grow digitally, do those things. And there we go. So you want to build leaders, and then you want to use your time wisely. You want to build leaders that are on your team, these new people that you hire. You want to encourage them to come up in your company and grow with you, invest in you, let them call it their lab. Take your pride off the table for a second and let them call it theirs, because that means they're invested in it that much. That means they want to see it grow just as much as you do. That's awesome. That's what we're looking for. Don't be afraid they're going to take your clients. Instead, encourage them to buy in with you. Let them know how much you appreciate them. And then when they're there and they can lead, use your time. Use your time to work on the business, on it. So just to recap, success looks different for everyone. So first, you have to define yours. Second, you've got to hire a tribe that will support that same vision that you've just defined of your success. And you need people that will complement you. Remember, hire your weaknesses and teach your strengths. Lastly, 30 minutes a day with social marketing. Start there. Eventually, it may grow into a full-time position for someone else because you've worked on the business enough that it accommodates that. But start, if you're doing nothing, start with 30 minutes, and I promise it will create opportunities that will free you from the bench. It will give you opportunities to be able to work on the business and decide what new products you want to bring in, and have the time to actually read the magazines that come in with the new products instead of just storing them under the cabinet because you don't have time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it today. I really appreciate your time. Again, Zahn, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to part 2, where we're going to dive more into exactly how to do those things on social media. But this is just our entrance, so I look forward to part 2.
Thank you so much, Jillian. This was so informative and so motivational. I'm sure everybody feels the same way about this course that you just gave us. I do have 2 questions, and one of them is, how long did it take you to go digital?
So I went digital from day one. I purchased digital equipment in the very beginning, and had I not done that, I don't think I could have ever been successful, because I didn't know how to build a crown. So I had to go digital from the beginning. But it's taken me a while to develop it's taken me about a year and a half really to really get a solid base and to get a clientele base that I'm good. You know, I can sit here and feel good.
Excellent. And the second one is, they want to know, how many staff members do you have now, and how many did you start out with?
So in the beginning, it was just me, and I worked in my child's nursery in our home. And we have currently relocated to my husband's man cave. And now we are building a 1,600 square foot laboratory that should be finished within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we are ready to hire again, but currently it is me and one other girl, so we do everything. But in that time, she's been on board with me for about 9 months full time. She can do probably, I would say 90% of what I can do, she can do. I completely believe in teaching and training and trusting. I delegate to her a lot, and I encourage her to constantly grow. So in a 9 months time, she came on board with zero dental knowledge because she had only worked in the medical field. And she honestly does about 90% of what I do now. There's about 10% that I am the only one that can do that, but we're working on covering that 10%. So we hope within the next year to have 4 more full-time members once we get into our building and we have space. But my husband's man cave doesn't accommodate more people right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Jill, and thank you to all the attendees. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us for a quick bite, and we look forward to part 2 with Jill coming up in the next few weeks. If there are any topics that you would be interested in learning more about, please don't hesitate to get in touch with one of us and take a look at Zahn Academy on YouTube. You'll be able to see some really great recorded past courses. And we really look forward to catching up, like I said again, with Jill. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.